Welcome to Keefer's Korner, the last edition of the 2023 season. I'm Jeremy Nygaard. This is Coach Keefer. Coach, how are we doing tonight?
Doing all right.
So, last edition because the Baldwinville Blackhawks went to Arcadia to play Lodi in Level 4 on Friday night, and it did not end up the way we wanted it to end up. 7-0 Lodi, Blackhawks tie it. 14-7 Lodi, Blackhawks tie it. 21-14 Lodi, Blackhawks tie it. Lodi right before half, and then a few more scores. We scored late, but ultimately 49-29 final score. Lodi will go on to play Luxembourg Casco Thursday night in the Division 4 state championship game. So, Coach, win the toss, elect to take the ball.
Yep. Thought it would be a good idea to, they haven't been behind all year and was confident that we would be able to move the ball.
Yep.
We turned it over and that was significant in the game for sure.
Yep. So, to me, I think I even said last week, if I want to stop our offense, I'm going to blitz. That was my thought. The way to stop us is to make us make quick decisions, and hope you can make us make a mistake. What we saw Friday night was similar to what we saw in Level 2 at Columbus last year, where it was the complete opposite. Right? They bring their 4 linemen. They have a linebacker spy the quarterback, and 6 guys are dropping into a variety of different coverages.
Yeah,
but essentially gave Cal more time.
They literally
less space.
There were occasions where they literally rushed 3 guys,
right,
and they dropped 8 out. I think the difference between both of some similarities for sure between what Columbus did and what they did, but I think the difference was last year Columbus up front was so good we couldn't run the ball into their light box. I felt like against Lodi we were still able to run the ball fairly effectively. Obviously when you get behind, you can't. We didn't have the luxury of just running the ball. We could still move the ball. We felt through the air and did on occasion, but obviously I will say this: I felt like we were capable of beating that team, but we would have had to play very, very well. There's always a handful of plays that you can look at, and it could have really had a huge impact in the outcome. You take a simple stop. Like I know we had one in particular in the third quarter. We had them like 3rd and 11, and we had a blitz, and we had a guy that made a hit in the backfield, look good. We had him kind of wrapped up, and then we miss a tackle, and they get a first down. They go on to score a touchdown. Right. If we get a stop and we score, that's a 14-point swing.
Right. We
wind up losing by 20. We also, and as I said, I didn't feel like we played our best, but we had an unfortunate. I thought it was bad play calling by me. The time we got right down there on the doorstep and didn't score. Okay, when Colton Hush, I believe he ran a jet. He made a nice gain. He got down to like the 1-yard line. In my mind, I thought that was a first down, but it was actually 3rd and goal on the 1. We hurried up fast,
right,
and tried to run it to Cal, and they had, they were all over that.
Yep.
And then a better play call would have been, with the way they were bringing it, we could have motioned the dude. The 2-point play we ran to Hush later in the game would have been perfect there. But it just, in the heat of the moment, I didn't get it done, and I felt really bad about that because, you're right down there, and then, you needed that one, and we didn't get it, and I felt like a lot of that was on me.
There was a flurry of scoring in the second quarter. We tied it with I don't know if it was 4 minutes left, and then they score on the first play to retake the lead.
Yep.
And then we respond by almost running the
big kick return. Yeah, Hush had a big
and then scoring on the next play to tie the game with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in the half.
Right.
At that point, you had to feel pretty good about.
Oh, absolutely.
How we were rolling.
Yeah, offensively we had some things going. The special teams thing was we thought that we would be have a little advantage in the special teams thing, but we just didn't play good enough defense. What really came down to it. We didn't. We had a couple there just were things that you wish you could coach over. I really didn't feel like I just like there was we had opportunity. We didn't have our kids. I guess I'd put it on me that we didn't have our guys like completely hitting things the way they needed to hit it. I actually thought the D line actually played pretty well.
I agree with that.
We maybe I think could have been a little bit more aggressive, at linebacker, and we just across the board didn't tackle well.
Yep.
But
and part of that is a credit to their
they're
three
good.
main guys. That the Paul's kid who didn't carry the ball a ton in the season or even on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big
kid,
physical, fast,
very impressive player. He's a good player. Yeah, 39 was a very good player.
I mean, as far as kids in the middle border, I don't know that we saw anybody even like that.
Yeah, I'd say the closest kid to that would be would have been Gebheim, but I would agree that this kid was probably a better player.
And I was thinking he was more like Easton Stone type, big physical guy. Only this guy wanted to get to the edge. Stone just wanted to pound it down the middle.
Right.
I mean, just the step up from, and he was their third leading rusher.
Mm-hmm.
The Clemens kid was pretty fast, 24.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he was good.
He didn't really do much, and then all of a sudden he hits that hole in the second half and runs through a guy and runs over a guy, and he's down the sideline. And their quarterback, I mean, we knew that there was going to be two really, really good quarterbacks.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's tough to do. The drive before half, to me, after we score it, and they end up, I think there was like 25 seconds left. They converted a couple of I think not necessarily longer third downs, but they convert a couple third downs, knowing that they're getting the ball back to start the second half. They can go in tied, versus going in down 7 where they're getting the ball. And they didn't score to start the second half. I don't know if that was where they got stopped inside the 1 or if that was the next drive.
No, I think it was the next drive that they got stopped inside the 1.
So they turn it over, we turn it over, they get it back.
I thought they had that long. I thought they scored on their first drive.
They did not.
They did not. Okay, and that must have been when they turned it over.
Yeah, because I just felt like that if that score doesn't happen right before halftime, the message at half is different.
Yeah,
to get one stop. But here it's like now we got to get one stop to really feel like we're still in the game, even though it was close. They felt to me like an offense like we have, where you're fortunate to get a stop, but then you really have to answer back, and then we just we struggled to get it going through the air, and like you mentioned, when you're behind, it's hard to chip to get back.
Right.
But a good strong drive to end the game. I mean, too little, too late at that point. But 4 straight touchdowns. That's hard to come back from.
That is.
As you look forward for, I don't know, the Luxembourg Casco, they were up 20-7. They ended up giving up the lead and then making a last-second field goal.
Heard that.
What do you? I mean, not that you've watched a lot of either of those teams, maybe. But Lodi, Luxembourg, Casco, and D4, how good of a game is that going to be?
I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm anxious to watch it. I do think Lodi is a very good team, and you got to be really, really good to beat that team. I mean, they had given up 53 points
all year
for the season.
Yeah,
and but I also think that it reflects well on our kids because, as I said, I don't think we played we're near our best. And we really, we scored 29. We definitely should have had another score at a minimum. And if we just play a little bit better D, and I think it's a game where we could have outscored them, but we didn't. And it's just I guess when your attitude is a big thing, like you can hold on and hold on to the loss and feel terrible. And I don't think that's the way to do it. I mean, obviously we wanted to get that group of kids to state,
right?
But it just didn't happen. But boy, what an unbelievable year it was with these kids. I mean, they were amazing, and they just they worked hard, and in the off season they were always striving to get better at practice, and just a fun group to be around. They had I felt like they had very positive influence on me and all the coaches. They're just a fantastic group of kids.
So 13 graduating seniors. You want to take some time here to kind of highlight some of their...
I'd like to talk about every one of those guys because they really did make quite an impact on our program. I'm going to start out with we'll start out with Derek Ketchum. Ketch was a guy that played snaps for us on the defensive line primarily. Did some stuff with some special teams too. Derek's a very strong kid, and he gave us quality depth, and really appreciate him playing. I know there was a little, he's a little up in the air before his senior year, and he definitely made a big difference. Fits in with the group very well, and just always will remember Derek. He's just an awesome kid, and really appreciate what he brought for our team. Another one, Gus Croning. Gus had an amazing year. I mean, I think he was like 46 out of 51. Does that sound right?
I think he was. Yeah, I should have.
It was
similar to that.
Spectacular.
Yep.
And did a very good job punting. He was over 40-yard average in the regular season. I know that, and he had a great level 4 game. He had popped off a huge punt.
Yep.
And his kickoffs were very, very good. And he improved, I thought, kicking off as the year went on, and just he's such a intelligent kid, and great communicator, very mature kid. like doing both sports, which is pretty special. But he was very responsible about, hey, I'm going to have a conflict here or there. When do you, always hurried up and got to practice and did his thing, and really appreciate what Gus did. And he was, he really did a heck of a job for us.
For sure.
Another one on the list is Landon Eggen. Eggs was a very, very good starting offensive guard. Very good double teamer, very good at the point of attack, good puller, good pass protector. I would say without a doubt was part of the best offensive line that we've had at this school in my time. We've had some really good ones, but I think across the board collectively, if you look at that group and how cohesive they were, and a lot of credit should go to Coach Lehman, who did a fantastic job with them. But Eggs is, he's a really good teammate. Also played some on the D-line for us. He's a big, strong kid, and I just always enjoy just interactions talking with the kid. I like to golf, and of course, early in the year I'd golf, and Eggs loves golf, and so there's a match coming up. Yeah, I think Eggs said he was gonna get a partner, and he says, "You take Coach Fitz," and I said, "Okay, if I got Coach Fitz, we got a pretty good shot at this thing."
Pretty good about that one, yeah.
Yeah, so that's coming up, but just really enjoy being around Eggs. Next guy I highlight is Ben Peavy. I think Ben Peavy was our most improved kid this year. He was a good player last year, but the steps that he took, both as an offensive lineman and as a defensive lineman, were pretty impressive. Ben was an all-conference offensive lineman. Also was really good at defensive line as well, and just I really appreciate. He was a grinder. He worked hard in the weight room. Multi-sport kid playing hockey, but still lifted, and really had a good summer. And it's fun to work with kids like that care so much. Another one would be Noah Sarar, Big Noah, who Noah was one of our captains. He's without a doubt one of the best players that I've coached, regardless of position. I look at him as at center. He is very intelligent. He's just very talented. He knows exactly what everybody's supposed to do. He would know adjustments. He is a great communicator. We started pulling Noah a lot later in the year, and it's rare to have a kid that's athletic enough to snap the ball and pull, like a guard pulls to kick out. But we, hey, he can do it, and he's just a phenomenal talent. Captain, 3-time all-conference selection, 2-time all-region. He was all-region at both offensive line and also at defensive line. Right. All-state has not been announced. I don't know.
Tomorrow morning.
Was it tomorrow morning?
10 a.m.,
yeah, and I sure hope that he gets it. I believe that he deserves it. Just a great kid, and again, a kid that he was always in the weight room working to get better. It was important to him, and those work ethic, making a commitment and striving to get better. It's just he really believed it, and I really felt proud of how I think he he improved as a leader a lot this year. And, it's just, he's just a great kid to get to coach, man. That was fantastic. Loved having him. Another one is there's so many great personalities and great kids. Dylan Vienendahl, the Desperado. The kid's always got a smile on his face,
right.
100% of the time. And, 6'5", 230, and can run like a dang deer. He's just a really strong, athletic kid. Did a fantastic job for us at offensive tackle in that he is so much better than the kids that he's going against athletically. Like, he can get up to a linebacker, very good at doing that. He's got that quick first step to reach people. And if Dylan Vienendahl is pass protecting you and he's got those long levers, he shut people down. I mean, our offensive line was really, really good, very good at protecting the quarterback. It's not perfect. I think we only yielded like 7 or 8 sacks, which is pretty amazing. It's pretty doggone amazing. And Dylan was a big part of that. And then on defense, we played Dylan at both defensive end and defensive tackle. And, he started the vast majority of the games and just really good, man. He's a hard guy to move. And I remember him splitting double teams against Central in the playoff game, just like they really had some issues with him. And he made a lot of plays and just, man, he's awesome, And if you haven't, you need to check out Desperado Outdoors, his YouTube thing. It's great. It's funny. He's got a lot of good stuff. I swear I watched one of his videos. It looked like he was on a game farm. He had all these, he just filming from his blind. All these, bucks strolling around. I'm like, where the heck, man?
Serious?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was about a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Another guy, another great personality is Lucas Deshane. Another dude that I just see him, I see that smile, that kind of goofy looking smile. Deshane was the other tackle. He played left tackle, and he has amazingly long arms, which is a great asset in football.
Right. And
Lucas was a very, very good offensive lineman. He earned honorable mention all conference. I felt he was deserving. But he did a really good job. Then as the year progressed, we also had him playing defensive end, and he really did a good job there, physical at the point of attack. And Lucas gave us a lot. And he had a little bit of a knee injury that he had to grind throughout the year, but I certainly appreciate all he did. We were on his birthday was I think when we played Amory.
Okay.
And we were toying around with doing the like a tackle throwback. We practiced it. We've done it other years. He's got good hands, but it was
a slot.
It was there's no way you couldn't do that in under those circumstances. But yeah, Lucas was a terrific athlete, and just he really was a very, very good player. Another good player in this class. Another one I'll mention is Jackson Johansson. Yep. Okay, Jackson obviously started at running back for us. He also played linebacker. Was an all-conference linebacker. He is a tough kid, man. He loves to hit things. He just has an intensity that you want from linebackers, and he just has it. Some kids have it, and Jackson has it. He did a great job blocking for us. He was a physical blocker. He had some fantastic catches. I think of the catch he had a great catch last against Somerset in level 3. Great throw, great catch. But he made a lot of big plays, had a lot of interceptions, he over 100 tackles.
Mm-hmm. Leading tackler.
Yeah, and he's just a really good kid, and I love he's a competitive kid, and a kid that's considering maybe playing some college ball, and we'll see how that shakes out moving forward. Another one, Colton Hush. Talked about Colton a lot this year because he's so dang tenacious, and just, man, he's competitive, very vocal leader for us, and just some of the things that he did offensively. He had 35 catches for, I think I got him 429 and 5 touchdowns. And that he's going to just find a way. I mean, whether it's catching that little key 3 or running the jet, And he did a great job for us playing at both corner and free safety. I mean, pound for pound, he's as tough as anybody, and just absolutely loved coaching Colton Hush.
So I'll just interject this because I have some records.
Yes,
his 50 career catches, 10th all time in school history.
That's something, man.
Okay, you can talk about him on defense at all?
Oh, I mean, he's a missile. Six interceptions.
So
and he had how many 80 tackles was it?
I'm not sure about the tackles, but he's in the record book for three interceptions in a game against Prescott.
Yep.
It's been done 5 times in school history. 1 time in your era by Colton Hush.
Yep.
6 interceptions this season, which is tied for 4th all time in a season, and 9 in his career, which is tied for 5th all time in school history.
It's pretty darn good.
Yep.
And then Hush obviously was also recognized as an all-conference defensive back. He was also an all-region defensive back. And, people recognize that the kid's he's a really good football player. Yep. And just a joy to coach that kid. Another one we've talked about a couple times here would be Cal Smith. Okay. I don't even know where you start. I mean, the numbers.
Do you want me to start with the numbers?
Start with the numbers.
5 touchdowns passing 3 times. Once in the playoffs. The old record was 4 touchdowns in a game in a regular season, 3 in the playoffs. So he broke all those records. 23 completions against Central, 2nd all time. These are per game, which is a new playoff record. And he had 18 against GET, which is tied for 6th all time in a single game. Passing, yards, 350 against Somerset is the new school record, playoff and regular season. 259 was the record when TJ Helgeson set it in 2001 and Dylan DeMott's tied it in 2008. Right now, the record book looks like this. Cal 350, Mason 317, Cal 299, Cal 287, Mason 285, Mason 264. The old record is now tied for 7th, and then Cal has 3 of the next 4. So he has 6 of the 12 all-time passing games, and number 1 and number 3 in the playoffs. That's pretty impressive. That's just a single game. For the season, 30 touchdowns is the new record. It broke Mason's 23 last year. 30 is also good for 3rd in the state this year.
It's pretty good.
218 attempts on the season, which is second to only Mason last year, who threw 229. Cal had 145 completions, which broke Mason's record of 131 last year. Yards, 2,443 yards, which is the first time in school history anybody's thrown for 2,000 yards. That was good for 7th in the state. Page number 2. Passer rating, you'll get a kick out of this one. So there's the NCAA scale and there's the NFL scale.
Yep.
High school uses the NCAA scale. WIS Sports uses the NFL scale. I don't know why. That's just what it is. His NCAA passer rating, 202.4. Dylan had the old record. Dylan DeMott's in 2008, 162. So, I mean, it's not just a little bit better. It's way better. The NFL formula I never really paid much attention to, but I'm like, you know what? It's on WIS Sports. I'm going to figure it out. Dylan had 102.1 in 2008. 100 is phenomenal.
That's crazy.
102.1 in 2008. Mason last year had 108.5. Okay, only 2 times in school history, going back to when the forward pass was invented. Cal this year, do you want to take a guess?
Well, I know that he had more touchdowns and fewer interceptions, so it's going to be above Mason's.
Well, the NFL record is Aaron Rodgers.
112 or something?
122.5 in 2011.
That's the NFL record.
That's the NFL record. Now, this is high school.
Sure.
Cal's is 136.1. Good for 5th in the state. The other 4 quarterbacks, Waunakie's quarterback, they play Friday. Stratford's quarterback, they play Thursday. And 2 other kids who lost to teams that were playing level 4.
Yep.
32 career touchdown passes. Dylan threw 37 in 4 years.
Yep.
Cal threw 30 this year and I think 2 last year. And Bucko, Brad Newton, threw 36 from 95 to 97 as a 3-year starter.
Yep.
Completions, 148 for Cal, which is 5th all time. Brad Newton, 267. And in his career, basically 1 year, 4th all time in the school history of 2,516. Dylan had about 1,000 more than that. And his passer rating, actually, NCAA style, 203.1, is now the new record. Mason's now 2nd with 152.5. For reference, The gap between those two is 51, greater than the gap between Mason and number 10.
Jeez.
Which is 39. Cal's 15 rushing touchdowns this year trails only Riley Anderson in 2010 and ties Trevor Walquist in 2000. And his 94 total points scored this year were 7th all time in a single season.
Wow. I mean, you saw something pretty special. And the things that aren't stats, what you have with Cal is you have a guy that is the unquestioned leader of the team,
right?
Who works as hard as anybody, and if people aren't meeting the standard, he's going to be the guy that's like, hey, let's go. I think he's a terrific teammate, and he's competitive, and just some of the energy, like things that I'll remember. One of the plays, it wasn't his best play by any means, but there was a play against Central in the playoff game, and a Central kid hit him. He just hung in there and made a throw, and Colin Fritz caught it. It wasn't 15-yard gain or something. Colin was actually was like on a knee, and he got up and ran, but they whistled him down for being on his knee. Maybe you remember the play, but watching the play, maybe it was from the end zone view, right? After the play, like this guy popped Cal, but Cal just got up and he just like, yeah, and it was just like this kid gave him a big hit, but he was just like so jacked, and just like there was so much good energy, and like anybody that saw that was a teammate of him would be just like, yes, this is happening, and it's just like it's like a microcosm of what great energy and what great leadership is, and he provided that repeatedly. And I think another thing about Cal is, man, if you told him something, he listened to what you said. I mean, like and I'll tell you, you just had a lot of confidence that he was going to do the things that you asked him to do. And, like, there's no question, great decision maker, because, hey, I mean, there is a ton of plays in our offense where it's either run or pass, and it's your decision. And we try to give him some simple metrics to use to make the decision. But boy, he's a great decision maker, and just it can handle that. And not everybody can handle that. It takes a special person to do it. And we've had back-to-back two spectacular quarterbacks in Mason and Cal. But I mean, it's those are some big shoes to fill. And he's also a really, really good defensive player.
Right.
And he after he had the injury, we tried to get him healthy, and he's just very good defensive player as well. So
sure.
I mean, what do you say? I mean, the kid's just amazing, and we'll appreciate him, and fondly remember him and what he did for this program for forever. I mean, that was sweet. Another one of my favorite guys. I mean, I got so many guys in this class. There's nobody in this class I don't really genuinely like a lot. Colin Fritz, I think, was one of the most important parts of our team, because he makes us. He gave our offense on the perimeter, like, he crushes people out there.
Yes.
He's a dominating blocker on the perimeter. Between him and Gavin Sell out there, and you see Hush and Ryan Vienendahl catching those little bubble passes,
right?
And they're just beating the heck out of people. You watch Gavin catching those short, that one, the quick screen we throw to him, and you see Fritzy just blasting people, and he takes pride in it.
Right.
And then you bring him in and put him with his hand down and ask him to down block, and we ran a ton of this pin and pull play, and that play was great because he was great. I mean, you get movement. I
mean, him and Noah.
Yeah, well, sure. Yeah, you had two.
Right.
All those guys have to work together, but he really was special there, and arguably has some of the best hands that we've ever had. I mean, he can catch everything.
We can give you some numbers here. In his career, so first we'll start with the game. His 2 touchdowns against Somerset tied the playoff record. Zach Campbell, Jake Keefer, Wade Schlichting, now Colin Fritz with multiple touchdown catches in a playoff game. For the career, because he had more, I mean, he had catches throughout high school. 12 career touchdown catches, which is good for 7th in school history. He is actually tied with Dan Larson and one behind Wade Schlichting. His reception in his career, 96 receptions.
That's
so
impressive.
He second in school history. Zach Campbell 145, but Colin is second all time. And then yards, 1,565 in his career. Trails again only Zach, who had 2,271.
Wow.
And so you're talking about a guy that as a junior, statistically, showed up a little bit more, or in the box score anyway.
Right.
But for his career, kind of taking a back seat to some other guys. 3rd leading receiver this year.
Right.
Just tells you a lot about how Colin is as a team first guy.
Oh, he doesn't care. I mean, he doesn't. I mean, he's as long as we win, coach. I mean, that's Colin Fritz. And then, the other thing is he's a very good defensive end.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know if I mentioned, Cal is obviously all conference, all region.
Should be all state.
Colin was all conference as a tight end. He was also all conference as a defensive end. He was all region as a tight end. Yeah, tight end fullback. Right. Now he's going to play college football. I mean, just today, our season's done. People are reaching out already today, and they should. He's a great kid, and he was a great leader for us. Definitely been a terrific guy in the weight room throughout his. I mean, you take a look at his thighs. He's got freaking gigantic thighs. That doesn't just happen. I mean, that happens because the kid works at it. At 6'3", 220, his path to playing some college ball is not as far away as it is for a lot of people. I mean, right. he's a really good player, and he's very football smart. I thought he played a really good game against Lodi. He had a couple plays at defensive end where I was like, whoa. I mean, just like very physical, closing, tackling. He's a really good football player, and just so humble, and just great competitor, and took pride in planting people in the ground.
Yeah, he did.
It just fires you up, Another awesome kid that I thought had a great senior year was Ryan Vienendahl.
Certainly,
he did. I mean, Ryan just, I can remember Ryan, like when he made so many big plays this year, from the scoop and score against Central in the playoff game.
Yep.
And he made two great interceptions against Somerset. But just, like when he does these short jumps in his celebration, like he just, you just see the look on the kid's face, and it's awesome. I mean, he was, again, a very team-oriented guy. Him and Hush out of that slot, they split the position. They literally rotated like every 3 plays, which helped to keep them both. But the production we got out of both those guys was phenomenal.
And
I mean,
when you mention big plays and don't mention the block punt.
Well, that was huge.
I mean, that was Ellsworth, right?
Yeah, that was Ellsworth level 1.
Which
that was a gigantic play.
The game was in the balance.
Yeah, you think of the playoff run that Ryan had.
Right.
That block, the central, the 2 picks.
Right.
Yeah, unbelievable.
For sure.
Yeah, he's just an awesome kid, and just wish him nothing but the best. And he's just, I mean, it's a blessing to get to work with people like that. I mean, he's fun to coach. Last but not least, we got Brighton Logterman. Brighton started for us at Sam throughout the year. And I will tell you this, that he made a lot of good plays, and he grinded it out, and I respect it, because early in the year he injured his shoulder, and he has a rotator injury, and he just said, I'm going. I'm doing it. I'm going to do everything I can do. This is it. I'm not missing it. And I'll always remember him, fighting through that thing. Again, a kid that, if you want to find Brighton, I know where to find him after school. You go down the weight room, right, and he'll be standing next to, Noah Sarar, and those guys are going to be working out together. And I'll tell you what, he worked his butt off, strong. I mean, he really is a strong kid. I mean, great squat, and great work ethic and fast.
And that's coming
and
off
smart.
of ACL as a soft.
Yeah, he had a yes.
So I mean, that takes time to come back from.
Yeah.
You're not getting professional rehab like the pros are.
Right.
You're a 16-year-old got to figure out how to rehab your knee while studying for biology because you got a test on game day.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what though, he had a really good senior year as well, and I appreciate all the things that he did. And he's always ready. Doing scout team stuff too. But obviously as a starter, and then he's also played some tight end for us. Fritzy just thankfully stayed together, and but yeah, what a great group of seniors. Just
Absolutely.
really, it's awesome. I mean, it's one of the most enjoyable years I've ever had to coach. It was a great group of parents. The parents were nothing but supportive, and that's not always the case, and very, very much appreciated. So, I mean, they did a great job, and I just, it was a great journey this year. I mean, really had fun, and I thought our coaching staff really, everybody, everybody enjoyed being together, and that's a pretty neat thing.
Absolutely. The only other guy to talk about from the record book perspective, Taden Halldorf had 4 touchdowns in the playoff game last week against Somerset. So that's a tie for second behind Mason's 5. Adam's Friendship. And then the last guy is Gavin Sell.
Yeah.
So Gavin, a junior this year, 3 touchdowns in a game, which is tied for 4th. 4 is the record done 3 times by Zach Campbell, once by Barry Schaffner. Yards in a game, 159 against Osceola, which is the 7th highest ever and the highest in your era. Did you know that?
I didn't.
On the season, Gavin had 49 catches, which was 39th in the state, good for 4th all time. So Zach had 72 as a junior, 72 as a senior. Wade Schlichting had 51 his senior year. Gavin was right behind that. Same amount of games.
Yep.
Touchdowns, Gavin had 11, which is 15th in the state. Tied for second with Scott Newton. Zach had 18 in 2001. And then on the season, he finished 10th in the state with 982 yards, so just shy of 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Zach had 1141 and 1115 his junior and senior year.
Mm-hmm.
So on Gavin's career thus far, 18 touchdown catches, which is good for 4th. Trails Zach with 28, your son Jake with 24, Scott Newton with 21. Receptions, he's got 73, which is 5th all time. Right behind again Scott and Jake. And then for yards, he's got 1383, which is behind Scott Newton, who has 1479, and also Colin and Zach, who had a little bit more. So a lot of receiving records there for Gavin and more that he can obviously add to next year. And then his 88 points this year, tied for 9th all time in a single season in school history. So some years I don't make any highlights in the record book. This year, I had to, I'm cutting things off because I'm running out of room. In the record.
Well, it's just a special group of kids, and they all made each other better. It starts with you have a good old line, and you have a good understatement. You have a great quarterback that spreads the ball out, and then we also, I think we try to we don't just throw it to one guy. We spread it around pretty good, and
nine guys with touchdown catches this year.
Right, exactly. And you grade Monacan as your number 2 receiver, and he was averaging 24.5, per reception. That's pretty darn good.
5 touchdowns,
5 TDs of his own, and so there was a lot of really good talent, and it was pretty good stuff.
So the question that I have for you now, you retired from teaching.
Yeah.
The football season basically for you starts in the summer. And then it goes until the season's over, which is now.
Yep.
So what's next for Dan Keefer now that football's done for the season?
Well, in the short term, we're going to do a little deer hunting. Looking forward to that.
Okay.
Actually, before that, we're going to head down to state football and, watch the state finals. That's always fun. You get to see some guys from around the state. That's always a good time. Do a little deer hunting. I got a little trip to Nashville with a group of buddies coming up in early December.
Got your cowboy boots?
Yeah, I haven't worn the cowboy boots for quite a while, man. I'll have to dig around and see if I can find them. But no, we're gonna do a little bit of traveling. I'll stay busy. I don't think you can just like drop in and coach. I think so I'm planning to continue, with being in the weight room. I'm not gonna be there every day, but I'm gonna be there quite a lot. In the short term, also, like we collected equipment. I'm setting up meetings with kids. So after Thanksgiving, I'm gonna meet with I'm trying to meet with every kid in the program. Right. And I can be there all day since I'm not teaching, right? So I can punch it out hopefully in a few days. And, I think that's important to try to evaluate what kids think of things and where they see themselves and what I talk to them about what I think they need to do. And I will try to listen about what did you like? What didn't you like? Or there, things that, we're always trying to make things better. So, there's some of that. My littlest grandson Jack just took his first steps the other day, so that was big stuff. It was going to be a tough weekend if we won because Jake and Paige were going down to the Badger game, and we were watching the grandkids. Well, if you're prepared for a state championship, right, it's kind of hard to be grandpa, right? But obviously didn't have to do that. But going to continue to watch the kids, and we're going to take some time and go.
So was it harder for him? Did it take longer for him to take his first steps since he was wearing football pants? Or was it...
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm sure looking forward to the day watching those boys play.
There's gonna be some stories about those Keefer boys, like there's stories about you and your brothers, and does that scare you a little bit?
We all made it all through, So looking forward to all that. That's good stuff.
And so as we look forward to next year, obviously Altoona replaces Rice Lake.
Yep.
But you still gotta. That's weeks 3 through 9. So what are we looking for? Weeks 1 and 2. Are we settled on those yet or not?
We're still kind of working. Keewaskum dropped us. They don't want to play anymore.
Okay.
So we're searching for a week 1 game, and we currently I believe we're still squared up with GET.
Okay. That'll be at our place this year. We're going to have to make the long drive.
Correct. So we'll see what shakes out. There's when there's bursts of movement, with scheduling.
Right.
And this will be another time that there'll be some bursts, and we'll see what we can do. I mean, you don't want to wait too long. Right. But we had a couple, like we said yes to a couple people, and it just didn't work out. Tried to play Aquinas. They've been good, but they wouldn't flip their schedule. We don't want to have two non-conference away games
every year,
and two. It's not fair. You got to have 1 and 1. So.
Right.
They wouldn't move it, and I guess we didn't want to move it either. So we'll continue to look. What we're going to try to do is try to find a very good opponent, that's going to make us better for our conference.
Moraines looking for a week 1 opponent.
Are they?
Yep, saw that today.
No, that's we'll see.
They were
yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly close, but
no. And they're a D2.
Yeah, they're bigger. Yeah, they're bigger. I think they're D2. They might be D3.
Yeah.
Whatever. Sure. I mean, it's a little more challenging because we aren't going to ever get to play like a New Richmond or River Falls because they got a closed schedule now. They play their league and then they got guaranteed crossovers with the Fox Valley. So that really reduces the teams. So you got to go a little bit farther. And, and we're probably, not to sound condescending, but we don't want to play somebody super small.
Right.
You want to play somebody that's bigger. But we'll figure it out. I'm sure we should be able to get something lined up. I look at the conference next year. I think Prescott comes in with a tremendous junior class.
Yep.
They were good this year. I mean, they won 2 games, but they were a good team. They beat the heck out of Regis.
Yep.
And they got everybody back. They're gonna be pretty good. I think there are some teams that are gonna lose a lot to graduation. We lose a lot, obviously. But that doesn't mean that the cupboard's bare. Our JV was 7-1.
Right.
They had a lot of close games. Not like we were blowing people out, but you had a group of kids that found a way to do it. And you're going to sprinkle some juniors, next year seniors in that weren't part of that JV stuff. And there's some pretty good pieces there too. And that sophomore class next year's juniors, those guys, that's a nice group of kids. And the freshmen, we had good numbers, and they got to just keep working. So there's definitely some exciting things.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us again. This episode, I think, was a little bit longer, but that's a wrap on Keefer's Corner 2023. Coach Keefer, Jeremy Nygaard, and we'll see you in the gym this winter. Otherwise, we'll see you back at King Field next fall. So long.